Hello class, and today we are going to learn about weaving, and I've made this drawing here that shows some patterns on there that look a little bit like weaving. And you may have noticed some weaving in your everyday life. Some of the fabric that you wear might be a woven fabric. There's two kinds of fabric that are pretty popular for making clothes out of. One is a woven fabric and one kind is a knit fabric. This shirt here shows a woven fabric, and I know it's difficult to see, but on a woven fabric you have threads that go up and down, vertical, and you have threads that go left and right, horizontal. The other kind of fabric that you might have noticed that you might be wearing is called a knit fabric. And a knit fabric is different in the way that they put the threads together. And you'll notice that on a knit fabric, instead of looking like lines that are going vertical and horizontal, it looks like little tiny curved lines that are looped. So this here is an example of a knit fabric. And today we're not going to be weaving with threads. We're going to weave with something that is much easier to weave with, which is strips of paper. Today you will need, for your project, one piece of colored paper. You will need some strips of paper that are longer, and you will also need a ruler, a pair of scissors, and your pencil. Alright, now that we have all those things, we are going to begin our weaving. First, take your larger piece of colored paper, and we're going to fold it in half. So if I take my paper and put it the vertical way, I would take the bottom and put it together with the top part of my paper. Okay, I'm matching the top and bottom of my paper together, and then I crease it. You'll know that you have it folded correctly if you see that your paper looks like a rectangle but not too thin. Next part is we need to make some cuts on our paper, but we need to know where to cut. We're going to make it nice and even, so we're going to mark some lines using our ruler. Here's the part of my paper that I just folded that's together. This is the open part, and this is the closed part. It's important to do this first step, this first line, on the side that is open. If I do it on the closed side, I'm going to end up with the cuts coming out incorrectly. I'm going to put the edge of my ruler, or the side of my ruler, so that it touches the top of my paper. Then I take my pencil, but in this case I'm going to use a pen so that it's easier for you to see, and I draw a line across my paper. So I'm making a line that is 1 ruler width from the top of my paper. Next, I'm going to put my ruler on the side. I put my ruler on the side of the paper, and the edge of my ruler is matching up with the side, so it's flat against the side. And this time I draw my line going from this line that I just drew to the bottom of the paper. I don't draw the line in this top part here. Okay, so now you should have one horizontal line, and it's at the part where it opens, and you should have one vertical line that goes from my horizontal line down to the bottom part where it's folded together. Now I'm going to make some more more vertical lines that go from the left side all the way over to the right side, and I want each line to be one ruler width apart. So I take my ruler and line it up with the line that I just made. I draw from my horizontal line down to the bottom. I move my ruler over so that now it matches up, and I draw the vertical line again. Okay, keep going until you reach this side. If you run out of room and there's not enough space to make another line, then do not make another line. Okay, so now I have run out of space. If the last line that you make, if the width of this one is a little different than your other ones, don't worry about it. It will still work as long as it's not too thin. If you made a line that's really close to the edge, just erase that line because that will be really hard to use if you have one that's too skinny. The next part is for us to cut on our lines. And the lines that you're going to cut on are the vertical lines. Do not cut on this horizontal line. What we want to do is to make some cuts in our paper so that we're not cutting the whole piece of paper apart. We're cutting it so that we will have spaces in which to weave. Okay, so I take my scissors and cut on the line until I reach my horizontal line, and then I stop. Okay, you want to try to get as close as you can to this line. If you cut too far over, you might accidentally cut the piece off. But if you don't cut far enough, if you cut only to here and you don't make it to your horizontal line, then you won't have as much space to do your weaving inside of. So try to get it close to your horizontal line when you cut. Once you've finished your cutting, you should have all these flaps here on the bottom, and the top part should still be together. Now that we're done cutting, we're going to open our paper back up. Once you unfold it, you'll notice that there are holes in the paper, but the paper does not fall apart. In weaving, there are two terms called warp and weft. The warp of weaving is the part that goes vertical, and the weft of the weaving is the part that's horizontal. The weft is the part where you're putting the pieces in, and the warp is the part that kind of stays still. So now I'm going to show you guys how to put the weaving together.